Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I have another impressions on a game that I beat recently, and that game is Metroid Fusion for the Gameboy Advance. I played this game on the virtual console for the 3DS XL. I got the game for free as part of the Ambassador program, so if you guys have been following my channel, you'll know that I beat Super Metroid on the Super Nintendo not too long ago. So I had this Metroid itch, if you will, and I decided to beat Fusion, which was it was really interesting because I never beat the game before, as opposed to Super Metroid, which I already beat the game a couple times in the past. So it was a brand new experience for me, and throughout this video I'm gonna be comparing the two a little bit, since I played them both recently. And so I'll be comparing them both on and off throughout the video. But just to get off the bat and to start the video, I have to say that Super Metroid is still by far the superior game. But with that being said, though, Metroid Fusion is a very good game. In fact, I think it's a great game, but it's just not on par with the that masterpiece level that Super Metroid set the bar. Super Metroid is up there with other great games, and it's often considered to be one of the best of all time. But again, with that being said, Metroid Fusion, it's a great game, and I'm gonna start talking a little bit about the graphics, I'll start with the story first. I think Metroid Fusion takes place at the end of the Metroid timeline, if you will. The story is somewhat simple. Samus, she is infected by this parasite called the X, and in order to get her that parasite removed, she is taken into this space station. But the parasite escapes and infects pretty much the ship, and so then you wake up, and it's up to you to try to eradicate the X parasite. And some other things happen along the way, and as you progress throughout the story of the game. But that's basically it. And regarding the graphics, the game looks really good. This game is more colorful than Super Metroid, but that could be a negative, I guess, if you will. The colorfulness of this game comes from the fact that the setting is different. Pretty much the entire game occurs within this space station that you're trapped, and you're trying to eradicate the X virus or parasite, and so you're confined to this space station, which is huge. But the space station has varied environments. There are some environments that are nature related. So, for instance, there are parts of the space station that look like caves. Some other parts have volcanic activity like lava, and then there are some other parts that are frozen in ice. But for the most part, the game takes place within this industrial high-tech lab type of environment, which could get a little bit boring, but I think Nintendo did a good job of creating a colorful type of different sections within the spaceship. But with that being said, Super Metroid had a better I guess art direction, and because of the nature of you being trapped on a planet as opposed to a space station, it was more like open world. It was more of an adventure, of an exploration, and Super Metroid had that eerie atmosphere that you were by yourself, all alone in this planet in Sabis. And whereas in Fusion, yes, you're all alone in this space station, but it just doesn't feel as the atmosphere is not as optimal as Super Metroid. But again, the graphics, they look great, and for being a Game Boy Advance game, the game looks beautiful, and the 3DS XL screen brings those colors to life in a very good way. As far as the controls, I read so many things about how the controls in Fusion were much improved over Super Metroid, and I was actually excited to find that out. And I'm gonna have to disagree with the people claiming that the controls are better. The thing is, with Super Metroid, a lot of people had a gripe with how you switch weapons. You have to switch weapons by using the select button. And whereas in Metroid Fusion, they have a more convenient shortcut where you press the R button, and by holding the R button, your arm weapon switches to like a rocket or missile launcher, and so it's a really nice shortcut. However, because the Game Boy Advance is limited to only two face buttons, B and A, they had to have a workaround for other types of items that you use, such as the speed booster. And the one thing that really bothered me is that it's really cumbersome and difficult to aim diagonally down in this game. In Super Metroid, you could hit, I believe, the L button, and Samus would aim diagonally down, which is very helpful, in a lot of places in this game. Whereas in Metroid Fusion, that's gone. If you push L, you aim diagonally up, and to aim diagonally down, you have to do a combination of buttons that is not very optimal. So I had a bit of a problem adjusting to the controls, mapping. So I guess my main critique for the controls is just the mapping of the controls, that in my opinion is affected due to the lack of face buttons on the Game Boy Advance. With that being said, the controls themselves, as far as the physics go, they work perfectly. During the platforming sections, if you have to make a jump on a very small platform, the controls are precise, the physics are very precise. The spinning jump is back, and if you miss a jump, it's completely your fault. The physics are very tight and very very easy to learn. In that regards, the controls have no problem. It's just the mapping of the some of the functions that bother me. Moving on into the sound or the soundtrack, personally I didn't find anything great, or nothing that I remember. So I prefer Super Metroid's sound. They were a little bit more, I guess they draw you into the game a little bit better, but nothing horrible in this game. And now I'm going to talk about the gameplay, which is what matters the most. And Metroid Fusion in some ways plays very similarly to Super Metroid, and in some ways very differently. I think the main difference is that Metroid Fusion, there's more of hand-holding in this game. The game guides you through your next objectives through this navigation computer that you have to pretty much access if you want to go move into your next objective. And that could be a positive thing for some of you guys, or a negative. The problem I have with that is that it takes that exploration and adventure element that Super Metroid had, which at times it was frustrating, I have to admit, because sometimes you're just completely lost in the game. You don't know where to go, and you completely rely on your memory and remembering some doors that you may have missed and whatnot. But in Metroid Fusion, it's somewhat difficult to get lost. There's a lot of hand-holding, like I mentioned, and this navigation computer that once you activate it, they show you the objective on your map. So technically, all you have to do is follow your map until you get to the desired target. Now you may think that this makes the game completely linear, and in a way it's true. Sometimes it's as easy as looking at your map and following the path until you reach the target, but there are other times where you have your target pinpointed in the map, and you keep going through the path, and then you reach a point where you may have a door that's locked, or a door that requires a new set of keys, or a new special weapon to open the door. So you have to find a way around it, and that's where the exploration elements come into play. Which is, the exploration is not as big as Super Metroid. You're not gonna find yourself lost in this game as much. But that's that was one of the, I guess, the charm of Super Metroid. Being lost every now and then. and in Metroid Fusion it's a little bit different. But like I said, the exploration elements are not completely lost. The game is not 100% linear, but it is more linear than Super Metroid by a long shot at the same time. Now, regarding the power-ups, I expect to see the typical power-ups. You do have a different suit in this game. It's the Fusion suit. And basically, the way you get the power-ups in this game is you have to defeat the bosses, and once you defeat the bosses, they release like this special X parasite that has your special abilities, such as the speed booster, or the power bomb, and all that. So essentially, in this game, you beat the bosses and you get a new power-up. And speaking of bosses, this is where Metroid Fusion is much more difficult than Super Metroid, or at least personally that's what I think. The bosses were incredibly tough, especially near the end of the game, and there were two bosses in particular that really aggravated me, and I'm not gonna mention them. One of them is the final boss, but I'm not gonna spoil anything. I just want to point out that they're really difficult. And the videos posted by Coach Newman, by the way, really helped me a lot. So Coach, if you're watching this, thank you very much for posting your videos. I'm going to leave a link to your channel, so if you guys are playing Metroid Fusion right now and are having troubles with the bosses, check out Coach Newman's channel. He has a pretty good I guess guide to defeat the bosses. But the bosses can be really frustrating. There were two bosses that I had a lot of problems, especially the final boss. It's just really unfair. You take a lot of damage. You get hit once, and pretty much your whole health bar, energy tanks, they just go to waste. But I got through beating the game, and it took me 5 hours on the dot. So it's a fairly short game. Which was a welcome thing to me, because I have a huge backlog. So it really felt good to beat this game. But with that being said, I beat the game in 5 hours, but I only collected 46% of the items in the game, which leads me to think that if you're very thorough and you actually take the time to look around the environment, this game can be a little bit on the easy side if you reach the final boss with a lot of the equipment. Which I didn't. I only collected 46% of the items in this game. And another thing that I was going to mention, the length of the game, I think it's pretty fair. And I think one of the reasons why my item percentage was so low, it's because this game lacks an X-ray scope as opposed to Super Metroid. So finding the items can be really tough. Or personally, at least I didn't find an X-ray scope. I don't know if there's one in the game, but personally I didn't find one. So there are a lot of hidden like missiles within walls that you pretty much have to shoot the entire environment to find them, and I just didn't feel like doing that for every single room in the game. There was also a very frustrating instance in this game that was similar to that Castlevania on the NES part where I forgot which Castlevania game on the NES is, but it's the one part where you have to go and kneel down and wait for like 5 seconds in front of this orb so a twister comes around and opens up the path, which is something that you will never figure it out by yourself. There's a similar thing in Metroid Fusion, or at least I thought it was very similar. After beating this one boss near the halfway mark of the game, I was looking, to get out. I was looking for the exit. I couldn't find it, and it was just so frustrating. You have to put a power bomb in a very specific location that doesn't really look any different from any other location of the game, and once you do that, the path opens and you're free to progress through the game. So I did have to look for help online for that particular part. I thought I was stuck, or I thought the game had a glitch. So that was really surprising to me. It was one of those what the hell moments that I don't know what Nintendo were thinking when they designed that part of the game. But overall, Metroid Fusion, it's a great game. It became one of my favorite Game Boy Advance games. It's a really fun Metroidvania type of game. It's not quite on par with Super Metroid, but definitely a worthy a game to play through if you enjoy those types of games. So thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you all later.